Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. Well, guys, first I want to credit this discovery to Mr. MBB333, who is awesome. I love his channel. He's one of the guys I've been following probably the longest, and I think he does great work. And just love his channel. So if you guys haven't subscribed to him, please do. This is fascinating stuff. This is great stuff. This is this type of stuff that I just drool over. And so what we're looking at right here, as we see, a country I want to visit. I've always wanted to go there is Costa Rica. And so there's an island over here called Cocos Island that's owned by Costa Rica since back in 1832. As we could see, this is actually a plate boundary. But when we look down in here, you guys are starting to see straight lines. Okay, so this is not natural. Well, he was a little bit more diplomatic, saying he didn't believe it to be natural, and I'm saying it's not natural. There's no way that's natural. I mean, look at these lines. Perfectly straight. I mean, my first thought was this kind of looks like runways, perhaps, at an airport. But, you know, hard to say what this is. This is some sort of major construction, or you know, this looks like you want to say a man-made object, but can man actually make this? Because if we look at this span right here, this is 24,776 feet across right here, right? So we're looking at, you know, basically 4.5 miles across right there. And if we're looking at the length on this, 85 miles long this way. And let's see, where did this actually start? It's hard to say where that would actually start, but if we just basically took from here and we went up to here, 93 miles. You know, this is a huge structure. Massive structure. And it's also, if you look down in here, you'll see numbers rolling. That's giving you the depth. You know, so right here is basically 2,124 meters below the sea. You know, so roughly like 6,000 feet down. And some areas down here it's even deeper. And then some areas not as deep, as we can see. So this is a mega structure. This is a mega structure. And who constructed this is a huge question. Who could have put this together? You know, look at this. This is huge. The technology that would have been needed to make something so large, and for what purpose was this? Are these the walls of a city? Is this is it some sort of huge runway? And if so, how big would those ships be? If you have to have a runway, you know, 80, 90 miles long and 4.5 miles across, how big would those ships be? We're talking huge motherships, and of course they would probably have the technology to come straight on down. So what is this? You know, nature does not usually, I mean, some will argue, oh yeah, nature can make straight lines, but look at these angles. This looks like it was built. So what is it? That's the big question. What is this that we are looking at down here? At such a depth, too. When I first saw this, I was thinking, well, you know, maybe it's, you know, fairly shallow over there, but no, it's not. It's, you know, 5, 6, 7,000 feet down. Now, plates can rapidly change. You know, that is a fact, that we could have rapid changes, and of course, you know, over long lengths of time, areas can basically go underwater, subduct. And so, you know, this might have been on the surface at one time. Very, very likely at some point in time it was on the surface, and perhaps it wasn't. there's all sorts of legends of beings that are under the sea, that live under the sea. We think of the Nomo, and we think of the god Dagon. And so, when we look at that and we wonder, okay, well, who are these, gods? And, they're probably just beings. So we have the Cthulhu mythos here. And look at the size of the creature as well. So not to say that's necessarily so big. And who knows where these legends come from exactly. So many legends have little kernels of truth in them. And when we look at the Nomo, they're sea creatures. They're intelligent sea creatures. And there's legends of the Nomo all around. And some think these are the basis. As we look at some of these right here, we've seen these. And this is why the Pope has his hat, by the way, shaped like it is. The mitre hat comes from these myths. So obviously giving reverence to some very intelligent, godlike, quote-unquote, beings that came from the sea. So is this something perhaps that's always been under the sea, but it's a structure created by advanced beings? Or was this at one point in time, above land and has gone down under the sea? And as we just look at some of these connections over here, so this right here is saying Nomo, origin, various stars, Sirius, agenda is assistance, lifespans 100 years, and they're here to assist in Earth's ascension. Nomo are half fish, half human. They're known as mermaids here on Earth, mermaids and mermen. So it's interesting to see. I mean, we have these mythos all around the world, in Africa, in South America, in the Middle East, in North America as well. Legends of these beings, when you start looking at it, these legends are everywhere. They're everywhere. And when you think about, again, like we see it pass on. You see the papal hat. It's the same thing. This is where it comes from. The ancient priest gods, the Dagon. That's where this comes from. And then, some have even brought up the fact that when you look at Christianity, what's the symbol? It's the fish. Where does all this come from? And there's so many connections. There are so many, but I want to get back to this right now. And so this plate, now this is the Cocos Plate and the Cocos Islands. So Cocos Island, excuse me. Cocos Island is designated as a national park and is off the shore of Costa Rica. It does not allow inhabitants other than Costa Rican park rangers. And basically the area is 9.21 square miles. So basically 5 miles by 2 miles. And it's surrounded by deep waters with countercurrents. It's admired by scuba divers for its populations of hammerhead sharks, rays, dolphins, and other marine species. Extremely wet climate and oceanic character gives it an ecological character that's not shared with either the Galapagos or other islands. So it's very unique. Excuse me as I'm losing my voice here. And you can see the location. And this is the Cocos Plate, which is a young oceanic tectonic plate between the Pacific Ocean off the west coast of Central America, named for the Cocos Island which it rides. And it was created approximately 23 million years ago when the Farallon Plate broke into two pieces, which also created the Nazca Plate. And so the Cocos Plate broke into two pieces, creating the small Rivera Plate, and the Cocos Plate is bounded by several different plates. To the northeast, it's bounded by the North American Plate and the Caribbean Plate. To the west, it's bounded by the Pacific Plate, and to the south by the Nazca Plate. And so this was created by the seafloor spreading along the East Pacific Rise and the Cocos Ridge. And it's a very complex system. So its movement is to the northeast at basically 67 millimeters a year. And it's very interesting to see this, and then also just to think about Nazca, right? Because Nazca, what do we find on Nazca? We find these massive petroglyphs and basically symbols that could only be seen from up in space, with the Nazca lines. And they found many new glyphs, so there's so many glyphs. Who wrote these things? Why were they trying to communicate with people or beings that were obviously up in the air? Because that's the only way you could actually make out what they are, is from being in the air. And, it's just an amazing situation, and we wonder about our hidden history, because our history is hidden. It's not what we've been taught at all. Not at all, and you could see some of the beings on the Nazca petroglyphs. Pretty cool. Very cool, very fascinating. It's always fascinated me. And so we've also discovered $200 million in treasure hoard found in Cocos Island and a national park there. And look at this. I mean, incredible stuff. This is exactly the type of stuff that the Spaniards, the conquistadors, were, hoarding and rounding up and making, with the cross right there. And so this was found on Cocos Island in a national park. Historians believe it's worth about $200 million. 89,000 coins and artifacts. There are also 36 crosses, 3 chalices, and 2 life-size gold statues of Mary holding Jesus. So one legend was that pirate Captain Bennet Graham, who supposedly buried almost 350 tons of gold stolen from the Spanish galleons in the 18th century. Another pirate was the Portuguese Captain Benito Bonito, who supposedly buried treasure in the area in the 19th century. Although some believe that the treasure was from pilots, historians believe it could be some of the missing treasure of Lima. An army under the command of José de San Martin was heading for Lima in 1820. Viceroy José de la Serna entrusted the treasure to British trader Captain William Thompson in order to keep it safe while the Spaniards secured the country. The original plan did not go well as anticipated. Thompson's crew ended up killing the Viceroy's men and sailed to the island where the treasure was buried. So this is a fascinating area in and of itself. And so we go back to this. And so, this is obviously a plate that is moving and dynamic. Yet these lines are not natural. There's no way these lines are natural. So again, the question goes to who would have created them, when, for they're probably very ancient, and how would they do it? Think about the size of this, and also where it is. So, what my question is to you, is this more evidence of, highly intelligent beings that are not Homo sapiens being on Earth perhaps even millions of years ago? When we start looking at the legends and we start looking at the artifacts that have been found all over the globe, we have, metal spheres and strata of rock that is millions of years old. Manufactured metal spheres in strata of rock that's supposed to be millions of years old. And so they're very incongruous. And we have these massive, artifacts like this. You have to wonder, who created these things? Look at these lines. And what was it? Was it some sort of city? Was it some sort of landing pad? Was it just a marker? What was it? What is it? Are there beings still around there and still in use? The seas are vast, and we have not, gone and covered every inch of the sea by a long shot. So there still could be very, very intelligent beings down there. Perhaps there are bases down there. It's hard to say. We've seen a lot of incongruous things and anomalous objects. So what is this? Again, 4.5 miles across, 80, 90 mile long, pretty much perfectly straight lines in some cases. Are these walls? Was this some sort of structure? You could see it's almost like maybe 2 joined pyramids when we look at it this way. It's just another piece of evidence in my mind to the fact that we have a very hidden history here. And if you want to, think of it in those terms, and we've talked about how advanced certain civilizations can be. If beings were intelligent enough to come here, say 2 to 5 million years ago, how much high technology would they have now, when our own civilization, just a little while ago, could not even build an airship? And look at how far we've advanced. And then there's everything that they have hidden from us, that they're not showing us technologically, because we are much more advanced than we are led to believe. So if these beings had that technology millions of years ago, perhaps, to get here, they would probably look, every bit as much as a god as anything we could imagine. And so, that term is probably not even a term we should use anymore. We should probably use something different, the creator, the creator of everything, prime creator, the source, whatever you want to use, because, we have these legends of the gods and their battles all over the world in every single culture. And we're going to cover more of that as we go in. And I definitely am going to spend more time covering a lot of these things, because I think sometimes that everybody knows all this stuff, but there's a lot of people that are just becoming awake now to this. So as we see again where this is located in this massive structure, thank you again, Mr. MBB333. Please do show him some love. He has turned up some amazing discoveries in his time, and much gratitude to him for what he's doing to advance the cause of sharing and discovering all this hidden stuff that is on our planet, all these clues to our real origins, and how the planet has really been inhabited by very intelligent beings for so long. Just look at this. That's like a perfect 90-degree angle, pretty much right there. So another fascinating anomaly right here under our oceans. And perhaps more evidence that all these legends that we've heard about have a basis, in fact. So my friends, as always, please do thumbs up to support the channel. Please do subscribe, click the bell, get all the notifications, and share with as many people as possible. Let's get people waking up to the bigger picture out here. And let's get out of our factionalism and division and realize, there's a lot more to discover. And it's actually pretty damn fascinating when you get down to it. May you guys always be blessed with abundant peace, love, good health, well-being, and always kept safe in these times. God bless, and namaste.